So it's been a few months since my last gear updates video, and I don't know if you can see my pile over there, but there's a few things that I would like to give you an update about. Because I found a new unexpected favorite. On my last trip to Scandinavia, I packed a little bit differently and I also replaced something. And also I changed my mind about one item, which was a big surprise to me as well. And as you know, usually I also talk about how my gear held up over time. But honestly, since my last video, nothing broke. The only thing is that I lost my Crocs that I used as shower shoes to this trip to Scandinavia, which is still a mystery to me, but I guess not interesting enough to talk about in this video. So let's jump right in and talk about the more interesting things that I have over there. So let's start with the cinch bucket bag from Bellroy, which became my unexpected favorite. A few weeks ago, I made a video where I talked about why I really enjoy traveling with this small Bellroy pouch. And one of you left me a very nice comment and talked about the larger brother of this bag, which would be this one. So I looked up this bag and at first I thought, well, this bag is really not very pretty. But for some reason I got hooked because I thought that the functionality of this bag would be something that I could really enjoy. Because on my last trip we went for several weeks camping in Scandinavia and I just wanted to have one bag where I could carry my essentials with me around the campground and just be organized a little bit more. So of course I could have used just a simple tote bag, but then everything would have fallen all over the place. So I went ahead and ordered this bag. And I have to say that over the last few weeks, I really enjoyed using it. So this little bag is a 9-liter bag. It's very lightweight in my opinion. It weighs around 200 grams if I remember that correctly. And I really like it because it's very squishable. But at the same time, it has quite a few compartments. So the way I used it during my camping trip is here in the front is this slide-in pocket where I usually would just slide in my phone. Then this pocket here in the front, I usually use to just put things like hand sanitizer, tissues, things like this. The bag has 2 bottle holders, one on each side. They're not very big, but big enough to slide in like a drink. And on the other side, I usually carry the sunscreen and the bug spray. The main compartment is basically just one big bucket, so it's very empty. But there is one smaller zippered compartment here in the back. And I really enjoyed this open bucket, even though I kind of wish that there was like one not even padded sleeve in the back that would hold my iPad. But still it was perfect to carry around the things that I just wanted to have with me on the campground. So I usually had my iPad in there, my travel keyboard, my EDC. I kept it in a separate bag because this way if I just wanted to quickly go somewhere I could just grab it and have my most valuable things on me at all time. But if I carried around the whole thing, I just put it in there. Also my sunglasses, things like this, and I would still have a little bit of room left. And to close the bag, there is this drawstring here on the top. And there are some handles to carry it like this, but also a larger strap to carry it over my shoulder. So to my own surprise, I used this bag non-stop since the day I bought it. It's just so nice to throw everything in there that I need for a day out. And I don't know if you know, but I flew home from Norway. So we were driving up with my car all the way to Tromsø. And up there we met my parents who took over our car and all the camping gear. And they are now driving home. And we flew home and we bought the cheapest tickets available. So we only had a personal item. But I still liked this bag so much that I put it inside my personal item just to bring it home. Because I really did not want to spend the next few weeks while I have to wait for my car to come back home without this bag. So I really think that this became an unexpected favorite of mine. And honestly, I still don't think it's the prettiest bag. I bought the gray color, by the way, because it was the one that was on sale. But it's been extremely useful and I really like carrying it with me. So let's move on with the next piece of gear. And that is something that also surprised me. It's something that I packed differently and it also replaced one piece of gear that I thought was impossible for me to replace just because I enjoyed using it so much. And that item is a different packing cube. As you probably know, I have been traveling with the Peak Design travel cube. I had the small one for years. That's usually my allowance of things, of clothes that I'm allowed to bring. And I usually never unpack, so I live out of the packing cube. And it was just the perfect size for me. And I usually stack my things in there KonMari style, so I can take it in and out as I need. The only thing that I really always disliked, not just about the Peak Design packing cubes, but about all packing cubes in general, is that they were very nice to store my things inside once there were a lot of things in there. But once my clothes got less, the whole thing just started to collapse. So the walls collapsed, the things fell all over, and it was just not that enjoyable to use anymore. So when I came across this packing cube a few weeks before my car camping trip started, I just immediately knew that I wanted to have it for this trip. And the item that I wanted to have is the alpaca gear pot from Gregory. For the camping trip, I wanted to have the larger one. So this one is a 10-liter packing cube, just because I brought so many of my winter clothes and I needed a little bit more space. And also, since I was traveling by car, space was not that much of an issue for me. And the reason why I was immediately drawn to this packing cube are the stiff walls. Now, I'm usually not a big fan of packing cubes or other bags with stiff walls, just because they usually have all these compartments that then take up so much space. But this packing cube is just an empty bucket. And that also means once I kind of fold my clothes and stack them inside, even when it gets less, it does not collapse. And during my trip, that worked just as well for me as I imagined that it would. And I always had this packing cube on the back seat of my car. When I needed something, I just opened it, took it in, took it out. And I liked very much that even though the packing cube was almost empty, I could still stack other things on top. So I found that extremely useful. Another feature that I like is that you could actually collapse this packing cube if you want to store it somewhere. It's difficult to do it in front of the camera, but basically things collapse down like this. I'm not 100% sure yet how to store this net, but I guess you can just roll it up. So you could fold it down like this if you ever need to. And even though this packing cube is a little bit heavier than my old one, I think this one weighs 250 grams and the Peak Design are around 150 grams, but they're also smaller, so you cannot really compare. Those 100 grams more are worth carrying it for me. And I know you're gonna laugh because I enjoyed this one so much, but usually 10 liters is too much for me. I don't have that much stuff. That I already ordered the smaller one. So this one is the 5-liter version. It's exactly half of the 10-liter version. So for my next trip, I'm gonna make those two my packing cubes that I'm bringing. In a few weeks, we're leaving for Spain, and I want to have this one over the summer as my main packing cube with my summer clothes. But since we're gonna return back home to Austria in November, and there it could already be snow and cold and freezing, I will need some warm clothes and winter clothes. And my plan is to have them here in this 10-liter bag and just leave it in the car until I need it. And another thing that I learned that surprised me is that when I'm traveling with my car and I had this packing cube with me, I actually feel like I don't even need a bag or a backpack anymore. Because in here I had my clothes and other things like my toiletry pouch and my travel towel. And in here I had all the other things that I wanted to carry with me. So basically I just grabbed those two things and I was good to go. So maybe on my next trip to Spain, I will just not even bring a backpack at all, which would be something new for me. I will let you know how it's going. But I'm really excited about those two, and I feel like even if I don't use them as packing cubes at some point anymore, they're just so useful because I think I will find many uses for them. Let's move on to the next item, and that's also something that was different for me because it was the first time that I traveled with a personal-sized bag only. As I already mentioned, back from Norway we took a cheap flight, and actually we had one day stopover in Oslo, and I had to bring home the things that I need for the next few weeks until my car comes back. The bulky winter clothes I left in the car, but everything else I brought home with me in the personal item. And I really had no bag in these dimensions, so I thrifted one. and for 10 euros I bought this Fjällräven Kranken bag. And as you can see, someone already loved it very much. It's really not pretty anymore, and unfortunately I think they put it in the washing machine once because the fabric is a little bit softer than I expected it to be. But the functionality was still there, so I decided to bring it. And that is, I think, the 17-inch laptop version. So in theory, it was 2 centimeters too tall for a personal item, but the bag is very squishable and I didn't fill it up all the way. And honestly, I had zero problems on both flights coming home. And the way that I packed it is that I squished everything into this 10-liter packing cube. So I put the Bellroy bag at the bottom, some of my clothes there, I put my toiletries there, and I even squished in my winter jacket, which was very fluffy, but I wanted to bring it because I was not sure how the weather in Oslo would be. I squeezed it all in there, it compressed very nicely in there, and then I just put this whole packing cube inside the Fjällräven bag, and then I still had a lot of room to spare. And I have to say that I really enjoyed the simplicity of this bag. There is just this small zippered compartment here in the front. The inside is just a big empty bucket, which I like. In the laptop compartment, I just brought home my iPad. And here on the side, there is one bottle holder, which honestly I'm not the biggest fan of, but since I had some room to spare and it was not fully packed out, it was big enough to put a drink in there. But I really wish the bottle holders were out of a more stretchy material. And one thing I really enjoyed about this bag are the straps, because they have the buckle down here, whereas most bags have the buckle here. And I really enjoyed it that there was no hard plastic part digging into my boobs, so that was rather comfortable for me. That being said, I did not find the straps to be the most comfortable straps. I mean, it was not heavy, my bag, but I carried it around Oslo for a few hours when we explored there, and I found that it just was not super comfortable. I don't know if that's a problem with my straps, because as I said, the bag has been washed and the straps, they're not really cushioned anymore, it's just like loose fabric. But on the other hand, I also saw that there's versions that don't even have the padding at all. So I would be very curious to know if you have any experience with these Kranken bags and if this is a problem in general, or if you think that it's just a problem of my bag. I would be very, very curious to hear that. But apart from that, it was a nice bag to travel home with. I had zero problems with the airline. It fit perfectly underneath the seat in front of me. I even had some spare room beside it to put my feet. And yeah, it did its job. And I think I'm gonna bring it on more trips, and I totally understand why the person who owned it before me obviously really enjoyed using it. Now let's talk about another thing that I replaced, and that was actually quite funny for me. Because when I did this video about this little Bellroy pouch and how I use it as my pouch next to my nightstand to carry all the things that I want to have at night, many of you remembered that I did a video about that. I think it's now 4 years ago that I did that. And back then I was very excited because I used a different Bellroy pouch, the Bellroy Desk Caddy, for this exact same purpose. And I was amazed how many of you commented and still remembered that video where I talked about this pouch. So I thought it deserves an honorable mention and maybe tell you a little bit why I changed from this to that. Because even after using this non-stop for 4 years now, there is still absolutely nothing wrong with it. So it held up great. There are no holes, no broken fabrics. I mean, it still attracts dust, like I mentioned once, but everything is fine. The zippers work, the inside is still impeccable. So I'm very, very, very happy with this bag. So the reason why I decided to break up with this bag is me, not you. Because I just outgrew it, I guess. Over the last 4 years, I minimized my things a little bit further, and I really did not need all this space in here anymore. Now everything I need fits comfortably into this smaller pouch. The only thing that I really miss is that this compartment back here was perfect to transport my Kindle. That's the only thing I miss a little bit, but other than that, it was just a lot of dead space or unused space inside this pouch when I used it. So I definitely will hold on to this one, and I hope that one day I find a new use for it. So if you have any ideas, let me know. The next item that I replaced for this last trip is a power bank. And as you may know, I have been very happy with this Anka power bank for years. And I also liked it because it very quickly recharged my watch. But now my phone is getting older, my Apple Watch is getting older, and the battery life on both is just not what it used to be. So sometimes I'm struggling to get through the day. And with my small EDC bag, this power bank is just a tad too bulky for me to carry around. So I decided to get a smaller model, which is this one from Inu. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name, to be honest. But in a way, it's just a smaller version of this one, a little bit less fancy, but it can also quick charge my watch. It has a integrated USB-C cable, just like this one has. And it's small enough for me to carry it with me day in and day out. And even though it had been a little bit of a learning curve for me to use this one, because when I put my Apple Watch on here, the other one started automatically. On this one, I have to press the button for it to start charging, which is something that took me a surprising long time to learn. But now it works. It really works just as well as the other one, even though the display is a lot less fancy. But I mean, there's also a huge price difference between the two. The only thing that I found a little bit annoying on this one is that the display is very, very bright. And when it's charging, it just keeps flashing the whole time. So in a dark room, it's a little bit annoying, but I just turn it upside down and it's fine again. And I have not decided yet what I'm going to do with this one. I feel like I don't need to keep both. Maybe this one is enough, but well, we'll see. Let me know which one you would keep. Now let's talk about one item that changed my mind, and I'm honestly still surprised by that, and that is a toothbrush. As you know, for the last few years I have always been traveling with my bulky Sonicare, just because I could not find a more travel-friendly option that is the same strength. I found many of them are weaker, or the replacement heads are impossible to get, things like this. But honestly, I've been very frustrated that I had to haul around this bulky thing and then all the chargers and everything with me. So I've been looking for a better solution to travel with for a long, long time. And on this camping trip, I did not want to bring this bulky one with me because I was even not sure how often we would have access to electricity, those kind of things. So I decided to bring a different one. And I thought, if I make compromises in terms of brushing my teeth, then at least I want to find something that's lightweight. So I brought an analog toothbrush. And I have to say, I really, really, really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed this one because it has more bristles than usual. So it has like 5,600 something bristles or so. And I googled it, a normal toothbrush has like 1,500 to 2,500 bristles. So this one has just a lot more and very soft ones. So I had to brush a little bit differently. I had to learn how to brush with less pressure. And honestly, I think it has been great. I did not notice my teeth getting any more yellow, but my main concern is always that they stay healthy. And my dentist always says that white teeth does not mean healthy teeth, but I did not notice any buildup or anything while using this, which came as a big surprise to me because I drink a lot of tea and Coke Zero, so I often had the problem with weaker electric toothbrushes that my teeth would just look less pretty after a few weeks. And this version that I have is actually the travel version. So I can fold this in half. And when I bought it, it came with a little case. I did not travel with this case, but I wanted to show it to you. So inside this case, there is a little toothpaste and there's also an interdental brush. And then you could put the toothbrush in here as well. And then you would have everything very nicely together. And I really loved bringing this because it's just so much less bulky. And another thing that I really liked is that this cap that it comes with actually stays on top. So doesn't matter how I shake it, it goes nowhere. And with other brushes and also the Sonicare ones, I always had the problem that the cap came off, and then, yeah, I just don't like that very much. But this one stays in place. That excites me very much, because sometimes I think it's the little things in life that make a difference. Another thing I really liked is, I don't know if you can see it, but the handle is like angled. So it's very easy to just grab it at the correct angle where you should brush your teeth. And also I can repurchase the replacement heads. So I think when I'm traveling from now on, I will bring this one, because it's just much more packable than this one. And I think this one, even without the charger and all these accessories that I need, is already 150 grams. And this one is 12 grams. So it's much more packable. The only small downside, in my opinion, is the price. So I think for this set, I paid 12 euros. And in the beginning, I thought for a long time if I should even do that, because who in his right mind buys a toothbrush for 12 euros? But in the end, I have been very, very happy with this one. And considering how much I pay for a replacement head for the Sonicare, is not really that much of a difference. So I think I will continue to travel with this one until my dentist tells me to stop. I will keep you updated.